Nobody tells you what happens after you leave someone who hurt you. It isn't relief, it's grief. And if you've ever wondered why you still miss someone who broke your heart, this may change the way you understand healing forever. If they hurt you, why does it still feel like a loss? You keep waiting to feel relieved, free, maybe even a little proud of yourself for finally walking away. But instead, you feel hollow, and some quiet part of you is asking, am I even allowed to grieve someone who wasn't good for me? Stay with me. By the end of this video, that question is going to make a lot more sense. Here's the part nobody prepares you for. Grief doesn't check your relationship for red flags before it shows up. It doesn't ask if they treated you well, it doesn't care if your friends told you to leave 6 months ago, or if you knew. This wasn't love. Not really. Grief doesn't run a background check. It just arrives the same way it does with any meaningful loss. And that's what confuses people. We've been taught that grief is reserved for good things, for people who deserve to be missed. So when you're mourning someone who hurt you, it can feel like you're betraying yourself simply by feeling sad. You're not. Let's talk about why. What if the person you're crying over isn't actually the person you lost? What if it's someone who only ever existed inside your hope? Here's the reframe. You were never just grieving them. You were grieving what you needed them to be. The version of them you met in the beginning. The potential you kept believing in. The future you'd already started building in your mind. The conversations that never happened. The memories you imagined making. The version of yourself that finally felt safe, chosen, and loved. That's what the loss is really about. You're not crying over the relationship you had. You're grieving the relationship you believed was still possible. And that grief is real, even if the future you're mourning never existed outside your imagination. This is why people grieve relationships that were genuinely unhealthy. Not because the relationship deserved another chance, but because you invested something very real into it. Your time, your trust, your love, your hope. Think about a house you spent years building. Even if the foundation turns out to be unsafe, demolishing it still hurts. Not because the house was healthy, because your effort was real. Love works the same way. It simply means you stopped investing in something that wasn't giving life back to you. Then comes the second layer. Guilt. If you were the one who left, you may feel guilty for grieving, like you don't have the right to miss someone you chose to leave. If they left you, you may feel guilty for still wanting them back, even though you know how much they hurt you. Different situations, same lie. That healing should feel clean. It doesn't. Healing isn't the absence of missing someone. Healing is being able to miss someone and still choose not to go back. Those two things can exist inside the same heart at the same time. Neither one cancels the other. Let's be clear about something, because this matters. Grieving the relationship is not the same as wanting it back. You can grieve a chapter of your life without wanting to reopen the book. You can miss the comfort of familiarity without missing the person who made you feel small inside it. You can wish things had been different without wishing you were still there. And if you find yourself replaying the good memories, that's normal too. The mind has a strange habit after loss. It edits. It turns highlights into the whole story. One beautiful weekend suddenly feels bigger than months of emotional loneliness. That's not your heart lying to you. It's your brain trying to protect you from pain. That isn't proof you made the wrong decision. It's simply one of the ways the mind tries to make sense of loss. Don't confuse selective memory with the full truth. So, what do you do with grief like this? The kind that doesn't receive sympathy cards, The kind people don't ask about because they assume you should be happier now. You hold it gently, without judgment. You allow yourself to say, "This still hurts," without letting that sentence become, "I should go back." You give yourself the same compassion you'd offer a close friend grieving any other kind of loss, because that's exactly what this is, a loss, even if it was necessary. And over time, something changes. The grief slowly stops being about them. It starts becoming evidence of who you are, someone capable of loving deeply, someone brave enough to walk away when love was no longer enough. That isn't weakness. It's proof that your capacity to love survived something painful. And one day, that same capacity will be given to someone who knows how to protect it instead of asking it to carry the relationship alone. So if you're grieving something that wasn't good for you, you're not confused. You're not broken. You're simply human, doing what humans do when something they invested their heart into comes to an end. Let yourself grieve it completely, quietly, if that's what you need. Then keep walking. Not because the grief has disappeared, but because you've decided it doesn't get to decide where your life goes next. And one day you'll notice something remarkable. You stopped waiting for them to come back. You stopped rewriting the past. You stopped wondering what could have been. And in that quiet realization, you'll understand something that grief was trying to teach you all along. You weren't losing them. You were finding yourself again. One day you'll tell the story differently, not as the story of the person who broke your heart, but as the moment you stopped abandoning yourself just to keep someone else. And that's when you'll realize the ending wasn't the thing that destroyed you. It was the beginning of becoming someone who no longer settles for love that costs them their peace.